Hey, this is Tahir Kabir with Close Quarters Combat Academy. Thank you for tuning in. This video is dedicated to one of my followers, Grozy. He commented a while back on one of my videos, my tutorial for the kip up. He was having some issues, and I said I would, try to help him out. He sent me a video, which is I included in this video, just to show what's going on and how I would go about addressing it, and from there. So let's get into it. First of all, Grocery, thank you for following. I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'll do everything I can to try and help with that. Some of the things that I seen in your video kind of clued me into some things that might be preventing you from being able to be successful at getting the kip up, and I'm going to talk about it. So I can see you're in decently good shape, and you did CrossFit for years, and I know CrossFitters are like insanely strong, but you also mentioned you had been in a car accident and you had some damage or hurt your back. And that's one of the main things for the kip up, is having that flexibility in the back. I noticed that you had a really hard time with the bridge, and I was watching you do the kip ups. I could see that you were in pain when you landed. So I can tell that you have some restrictions in your movement from not only just the pain itself, but the tightness resulting from that injury in the car accident. So this video is going to be a little bit of educational and a little bit of hopefully some therapeutic things. I'm not a doctor or anything, so people who are watching, just take this for what it is, as educational advice, but not nothing diagnosing anything or carrying anything. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is just the mobility issue. That's the biggest thing I see there. You're obviously strong. I seen you get the roll up just fine, but with the bridge, it was just really difficult for you to get up, right? I could see that you're having a hard time flexing the back and that you were in pain. So I want to address that. So if we're going to talk and go back a little bit in my history. In 2013, I herniated my L3 and L4. I had another one that was bulging, and they were pushing on my spinal column. It was the worst pain I've ever been in. I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit. I literally had to crawl to the bathroom and lay across the toilet to go to the bathroom because I couldn't carry any weight on my spine. That bad. They wanted to do emergency surgery. Basically, they wanted to fuse my L3 and L4 together, remove the disc, and they told me that if I was doing any more martial arts, I'd be paralyzed from the waist down. That scared me. I'll be turning 37 here soon. I was even younger then. I didn't want to risk being messed up for the rest of my life, okay? Everybody that I knew who had back surgery wasn't living their best life. They were either on pain meds, miserable, or whatever. And I didn't want that for me. So I went a different route. I started doing yoga, and I found a product that I'm going to talk about here because I think it's important. A lot of times with back injuries, the pain is so intense, we just want to take care of it as soon as we can, any way we can, without maybe having all of the options available. So this is something that I know a lot of people don't even know about, I want to talk about. And so I never got surgery. I use Satria yoga and this product here to help rehabilitate my back. This is called a posture pump, and I'm going to have a little bit of an informational video from one of their videos included in this video, so you can kind of see they have some really good animations. But I use this, and I'm going to explain how it works. So it's a simple little product. It's just a plastic base that has these two air bladders here, and you lay on them. These pumps, you just pump it up, and if you can see, this inflates, right? And you lay across that, and then as you're pumping it up, to release the pressure, you just hold this valve, and then you can push this down. Okay? This is something I use to help rehabilitate my back. And I'm going to talk about this in more detail and show those videos in a minute here.
Let's try to keep up. One thing I noticed that I'm not really good at, I don't know, or I could be good. I don't know how good I am at the bridge, but this seems pretty difficult for me. Let me see. The bridge kind of hurts a little bit. And that's about as far as I can get up. So I don't know if that's causing the issue or what, but let's try to keep up. As you see, I always pop on my back. Hurts really bad. One more time.
So, we're going to talk about the posture pump here in a minute, but I want to talk about some things to help you with the bridge, okay? So, with your work up to the bridge, sometimes going for a straight bridge can be a little hard, especially if you have a back injury. So, trying to go from the flat and being able to push up for a nice bridge can be hard. So sometimes you need to start in a graduations. So the first thing I would tell you to do is practice lifting up here, keeping the feet together and making a plane here. So you want to try and lift and your weight's on your shoulders. The hands can be down flat to help push up, give you some extra support, and then you practice lifting. Okay? Eventually, once you feel comfortable with this, you can add a little bit more challenge and make sure you're getting as high as you can by lifting up the leg and pushing with the opposite one up. This is a little bit harder and has to, your glutes have to work a little bit harder and the flexibility of your back has to be a little bit greater. Okay? So I'll show it on this side as well. So from here, my shoes untied. I'll tie that and we'll continue. So I'm here, lifting. Okay, pushing up. Once you get comfortable with that, then you can start going for rollovers where you're rolling back, okay? So from here, if you're able to do this and a single leg version, next thing is to lift up here. If this hurts your back, you want to take it easy until you can get into that position without any pain, okay? That's what the posture pump will be for. I'll explain that. The other thing you can do to help with the back is doing some of the Satria yoga postures, which I will include a video for a routine that I've done previously that you can start practicing. That'll help with that as well. But here's two of my favorite poses that I would do when my back was hurting. Okay, so this position in particular is called closed boya. Boya means crocodile in Indonesian, and in the fitness community you might have heard it as a 90-90, right, where you have your legs crossed over. But the main thing you want to do here is stand up tall. Okay, in this posture you don't want to be turn this way so you can see. You don't want to be leaning to one side, okay, if you can help it. Now if you're uncomfortable in this position and it hurts and you have to lean, that's fine. When I first was doing this, that's how I was. I couldn't sit up straight. But the main thing is you don't want to hollow out and have that kind of C in your back. You want to be straight with the back as possible. And then you're going to exhale. As you exhale, you're going to fold the lead arm over this lead elbow. So in my case, this is my right leg. My right arm will fold to my left side, and my right arm's kind of trap will sit and hover above this knee. So I'm here. Lift tall, big breath in, exhale, rotate, turn the head, and then lower down. Couple breaths here. You want to really expand the rib cage here. You're trying to open the chest toward the sky or the ceiling, and then you'll come up slowly. I'll turn to the other side. I'll exhale. I'll put my hands down and stretch forward as far as I can go. And come up. When I'm doing this, I feel a nice stretch along the back side here. It's on the side and then goes into the lower back. When I'm down this way, again, deep breath to expand the rib cage and get the fascia and the muscles to stretch by your rib cage expanding. Okay. And then come up. Okay. Then you'll just switch sides and do the same exercise on the other side. So now I'm on the left side, left knee in front, Left arm will go to my right side as I exhale. And then I'll lean forward, fold over. Look into the sky. The neck is kind of in a neutral posture. It's not down, it's not cranked up. It's just kind of neutral but twisting toward the sky. Deep breaths in to expand the rib cage here. And then we come up. Exhale. Turn over to the side. Lower ourselves down. Deep breaths here. Hold. And come up. So this is the closed boya position I used to do. Do as many of these as you feel comfortable doing. Usually I say at least 2 to 3 per side, and really try and get that deep stretch in there. It's a relatively passive stretch as far as what you have to do. You can sit in here a pretty long time if you need, if it's comfortable for you. For me, I would sit in this position sometimes for a good 20-30 minutes because it was the only position that didn't hurt. Just the way my back was, my disc was bulging, so it worked for me. The other position that I like to do, especially when I was hurting, was the tiger position, the harimau. So, harimau means tiger in Indonesian. You've seen this maybe in other things, like as a lunge or a stretch. But basically, you're going to put one foot forward, stack to 90. The other hand will come down and make 2 points of contact. And the third point of contact will be this leg in the back, which you're going to lift and straighten out. Okay? So I'm here. I'm going to scoot forward a little bit so you can kind of see good. I'm going to lift. What I want is my shoulders to be in line with my hips and my knee all the way down. I'm going to engage my core, pull that up. I'm going to stretch myself up. I'm trying to make myself longer this way with my spine. And my quad is engaged, pulling up into my knee to activate. I don't want the knee to come down here, and I don't want my hip to turn over. I want to be inline strong here. Okay, once I'm in this position, my other hand, in this case my right hand, will lift. Now make a straight line between my shoulder blades and breathe. Pushing this heel backwards toward the ground while being on the ball of my feet, and stretch. Then I'll come down. Okay? I would hold this position for a couple minutes, and then I would switch. So I would just put my other foot back, step forward, hold to 90, stack my hand right over top of my shoulders, and then I would rotate. Again, these two postures were some of my favorites while I was injured. I would do them. They would help to alleviate the pressure and give some space to my discs, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and you'll get to watch the little animations from the posture pump video that I'm including.
A healthy spine, with its proper curves and thick disc pads, is freely moving and constantly bathed in nutrient-rich fluids. Lubrication keeps the neck and back young. An abnormal spine has lost its healthy forward curves. Weight now bears forward on the soft discs, compressing and dehydrating them, forcing material to bulge back toward the spinal cord and nerves. Joints dry up, become stiff, and eventually decay. Discs can also become locked or trapped to one side, causing stiff, uneven bending, leading to further disc damage and arthritis. Forward curve loss or poor posture can come from a variety of sources. Sometimes it's an obvious source like trauma, but often it's the day-to-day wear and tear and poor positioning that breaks down a healthy spine. One primary cause of pain and discomfort of the joints and muscles happens when nutrient-rich lubricating fluid is forced out of the discs as the neck and back lose their proper postural curves. As bones clamp down on the discs, the vital lubricating fluid cannot easily return. This common occurrence causes joints and discs to dry up, decay, and become painfully stiff. The M2000 posture pump fits under your back in 4 positions: lumbosacral, lumbar, thoracolumbar, and thoracic, to bring relief to specific problem areas. 2 expanding air cells stretch and relieve in opposite directions, decompressing and aligning your joints. As air pressure lifts and expands your spine, nutrient-rich fluid is drawn into your disc pads, promoting healthy, well-lubricated joints.
Normally, they are nice and thick, and they will sit in between and keep the individual vertebrae from rubbing on each other and absorb shock. Okay, so when they're healthy, they absorb the shock, and they're full of like fluid. Okay, and as you can see, I am just pouring this water in here, and it's just getting absorbed. Okay, once you hurt yourself and you put too much pressure on them, they can pop or rupture. Now the fluid can get squeezed out of it, and once that's squeezed out, they're no longer effective at cushioning or separating your vertebrae, so that they will have your vertebrae stacked and smushed down on top of each other. This is where you get arthritis and things like that, where you start to have your back just start to degenerate. Okay. The other thing is, once this happens, starts to push, that fluid in that material has to go somewhere. So when you say a bulging disc, it's like a water balloon. If I squeeze it, it pushes it out to a different area. That can be pushing against your spinal column and causing pressure on your nerves, which will then be registered as pain, and it can also have muscular side effects, where you don't have the activation of certain muscles the same way because the nerves are triggering them to become tight, or you have a disproportionate activation on one side of the body or the other. So as I squeeze this out, though, you notice how it gets dry, and then eventually that will keep coming down. So while the pressure's on it, it can't really absorb anything. So I pour this on there, right, and it just kind of runs off. There's nothing that it can really take. But once I take the pressure off, it starts to open up, it can absorb that nutrients back into it, and the disc can rehydrate and puff back up. Okay? So what we want to do is try and take the pressure off so that your discs can, on their own, rehydrate and come back to a normal status. While you still have a herniated disc, that push on them moving around can be really painful. So we want to then take that pressure off. Okay? And that's the idea that I wanted to kind of show with this. So it being hydrated, having fluid in it, versus when there's pressure or trauma that happens and it's collapsed, it squeezes the fluid out. Okay? That's the idea. So how does this work with the posture pump? This thing is pretty amazing because it can individually target the vertebrae that are damaged. Unlike regular traction, where if you go to a physical therapist office and they put you on the table, they belt you down here, and then they tie something to your legs and the machine pulls you. The problem with that is that it pulls everything. But it doesn't matter if it pulls everything, because the muscles that are tight will give last. The tight muscles will hold on the longest, and then the muscles that are less tight will get stretched out, and so you get an uneven stretching. Okay? And so while you think you're being stretched out evenly and getting space in between each vertebrae, what actually happens is one side goes farther than the other, and you have this kind of bowing one way or the other, depending on what side of your body your muscles are tight on. And then once you're done, everything snaps back. Those muscles that were tight automatically start to pull back, without any traction on them, they go back to where they're at. The muscles that were loose are now more stretched out and provide less stability, and so therefore you're more likely to be able to have a disc slip further out of place. I went through physical therapy for almost a full year before they gave me an MRI. The whole time they said, oh, you just have a muscular problem, you just need to do more physical therapy. I didn't get any better. I had to argue with my doctor and fight to get the MRI, and when I finally got the MRI, they showed that I did have a bulging disc and that the physical therapy they were doing wasn't helping me. That's when they said they needed to do surgery, after a year of them telling me what I was doing wrong, and I kept telling them no. So, posture pump. Simple. You lay on it, and you can put it on your lower back, your mid, or your upper back, okay? And it's passive. You lay on it, and if you can watch in this camera, I'll take these little bladders and I'll pump them, and you'll watch my abdomen rise. I start pumping them, and you can see that it's inflating, but it's only inflating the area in between where those two air bladders are at. So I can really micro target the area of my back that I need to work on. And the nice thing about this is I can sit here passively. If I'm, about to go to bed, or I want to watch TV, I could lay on the floor and watch TV for an hour and just lay on this. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm getting passive traction to the discs that I specifically need to rehabilitate, okay? And it's because it's passive, it doesn't stretch out the muscles that are holding me in place disproportionately. It gradually will create that space instead of forcing it. And I can just lay here. I can pump it up and just lay here for whatever's comfortable. When I'm ready, I can just deflate them and get up. Or if I want a more dynamic stretch, I can pump it up and then release it. Pump it up and then release it. And so I'm gonna include these videos from the company in here so you can see the animations and really see what's happening as well. And I love this product. It's one of the things that helped me along with the yoga to rehabilitate my back and avoid having to have surgery. So hopefully some of this information can help you to rehabilitate the herniated disc. Once you get past the hump with the pain and the restrictions in movement, then you'll be able to train the hip up more successfully because you'll have less pain, so you'll have more attempts to try it. But then also you'll wind up having more range of motion because your muscles won't be tight trying to hold your spine in place for dear life. Something that I really advocate is always about mobility, right? Having functionality is great, and being able to do different things, having different skills, whether it's sports-wise, or just regular fitness, crossfitting, being able to complete a WOD, or martial arts, being able to complete some kind of technique. If you don't have the mobility to do it, it's really hard for you to get success because your pain and restrictions will keep you from being able to perform that skill effectively. So stretching is a big thing, and a lot of people stretch like we've been traditionally taught, you bend over, touch your toes side to side, stretch your leg out. Those are all good, but sometimes you need deeper stretches as well. And so that's where the yoga is really beneficial as well. I would also recommend, if it's not something that's too painful or if it's in your means to do, seek out a good myofascial massage therapist and see if they can't help you do some work to loosen up the fascia in your back and in your posterior chain. A lot of times when you have back injuries, car accidents, or anything like that with a herniated disc, you'll have restrictions all along the posterior chain. So in your calf, your hamstrings, your lower back, your even your the arch of your feet. So all of those things can be playing a factor as well. But hopefully those things help. Unfortunately, here in Michigan, the weather changes on the moment, and the sun kind of went away. Now it's starting to rain. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I'm gonna edit this up and I'll get this posted to you. So thank you for watching again, everybody. Peace, love, and have a wonderful fall season.